Good evening. Good evening, good evening. Welcome back to the auditorium. We're once again thrilled to have you here this afternoon to close out our day as we celebrate the learning, the conversations, and the engagement that we all have had these past 2 days. It's been just so enriching. I hope you're getting to know the Smithsonian a bit as an educational entity. We really are almost like an interdisciplinary school or university here at the Smithsonian. So the synergies between our passion for teaching and learning and yours seem like a natural fit. As you may know, the Smithsonian was actually founded on the core principle of, and I quote, the increase and diffusion of knowledge. So at our roots, we are researchers and educators, problem solvers and teachers, experimenters and innovators. This institution, you may know, came into existence in 1846 when an Englishman, James Smithson, left his fortune for, and I quote, to found in Washington an establishment for the increase and diffusion of knowledge among men. Now, we may take issue today with the among men part, but Smithson's gift was a seed. He'd never set foot on American soil, but he believed in the power of education and its importance to a young nation, and he advocated for it. So today, the Smithsonian is the largest museum, research, and education complex in the world. Our 21 museums and our zoo are visited by over 20 million people a year. We hold 157 million cultural objects, specimens, and artworks. Just think of it, it's enough to satisfy even the most intrepid student, the most curious learners, to keep them busy for a lifetime. With our 9 research centers and the zoo housing everything from the Hope Diamond to the Moonlander to pandas, we hope again soon, back to the zoo, to presidential portraits. And many of our buildings are architectural treasures themselves, like this 19th century patent office building, which we occupy tonight and have been here, had the pleasure of being in today. Indeed, it is really one of the jewels of the Smithsonian collection. But our physical museums are really just the tip of the Smithsonian iceberg. What you may not have known, but I hope you're learning today, is that, as I like to say, learning happens 24/7 at the Smithsonian. Here at the Smithsonian American Art Museum, we've been doing distance learning for decades, hosting real-time conversations with students across the globe, across 12 time zones, so that we can be in their classrooms live, virtually talking with them during their school day. Our team of museum educators supports learning and students across the country to leverage the artworks in our collection for deep learning across subjects, areas, and grade levels. Through our REACH, Rural Engagement in Art, Culture, and History initiative, we reach students in one-room schoolhouses from Maine to Alaska, and our Portraits of Community project has students documenting their communities through oral histories and photographs so that we can amplify their stories here at the Smithsonian. And we also welcome you back next summer to SAM's National Summer Teacher Institutes, where you could come and spend a week with us in this building and with our collection in this glorious space, learning how to integrate American art into your teaching. There's so many amazing opportunities to engage in, and I hope you take advantage of all of them. And I often wonder what our James Smithson would think today about his gift, his seed that he planted, and what it grew into. I'm sure it has unfolded beyond his wildest imagination. And now we're ready to imagine some more together with you this evening with an incredible panel that's sure to continue to inspire you, a conversation with a panel of 3 Boys and Girls Clubs of America youth. And it's my great pleasure to welcome to the stage to tell you more about our panelists, my colleague, Dr. Monique Chisholm, our Undersecretary for Education at the Smithsonian.
Thank you, Carol. I always learn something new when I talk to Carol. She's so great with the history. I'm really excited that we have come to the final program of our day. We've had a very exciting day. For those of you who are just joining us for the first event, it's been a wonderful 2 days of summit. We've had a chance to talk about connecting at the intersections, thinking about how to use art, to talk about history in the past and also the future. But tonight, we're going to focus on youth taking civic action. It's been a joy to actually have a wonderful collaboration and partnership with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. We'll get to learn more about them this evening. But this actually started in an inquiry from my mother, Laura White. My mother worked at the Boys and Girls Clubs of America in South Bend, Indiana. And when I started working at the Smithsonian, I would get home from work very energized by the day. You know, had a lot of stuff going on throughout the entire day. Would get home, talking to my mother, and she would say, I need a STEM activity for tomorrow, so let's go through your resources. And so almost every night we were going through Smithsonian resources, trying to figure out where her next STEM activity was. I was like, there might be an easier way that we could like make this easier, you know, where I'm not every evening curating resources for my mother. So thank you, Mom, for this collaboration. So yes, yes. So it actually started out with us talking with the leadership of Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and we started by curating some tours in our museums. So the students would come in and they would go to here, American Art, Portrait Gallery, American History, our Latino Museum, Natural Science, all over our campus, and have special curated tours. And they would come oftentimes when the museums were closed, so it was a very unique experience, and get to go through our collections with educators and curators and have a very dedicated experience. We then branched out a little bit. We started working with some of our resources from our Smithsonian Science Education Center and also our African American History and Culture Museum, and started supplementing some of their curriculum with some of our resources. We did some work around lyricism and helped to supplement that, but then also looked at some of the environmental issues going on with our Native communities and supplemented some of those curriculum resources. We wanted to take it one step further. And so we are now actually working on a pilot with the Boys and Girls Clubs of America. We are taking our National Youth Summit, which is hosted by our American History Museum. It's an annual event that happens with youth across the nation. And we are taking that approach and that model and replicating that in clubs across America. We wanted to make sure that this is going to be relevant for the club members, and so we're piloting. We started in Chicago, and then we went to Los Angeles. We're going to be heading to Tennessee, and then we will do our final pilot in Aberdeen, Maryland. And through that, we have been iterating, doing some continuous improvement, getting lots of feedback from the club members and the club staff to make sure that what we are creating will actually be used in clubs across the nation. So we're very grateful for the partnership and collaboration, and I have the distinct honor tonight to talk with 3 of the youth leaders in the club. Abigail is from close by here in Michigan, and she'll tell you a little bit more about her leadership role in the club. We're also very fortunate to have Lauren join us from the Lake County, Montana, the Flathead Reservation, and then Philip is also joining us from Alabama, and each one of them will take a minute to tell us a little bit about their background, their history, and we're going to get deep down into the conversation. So help me welcome Abigail, Lauren, and Philip to the stage. Okay, well, welcome. Thank you for being here with us tonight.
Thank you.
Yes. So you guys are in town for something special, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, tell me what you're in town for.
So I'll start. We're in town for a very important event, the National Youth Summit, as well as TLC, or more importantly, Think, Learn, Create. Our goal was to come up here with a project that we created that was, to create some form to fix some sort of issue in our society, whether that be in local advocacy issues or local injustice issues or simply environmental issues. So there's a lot of different projects. There's a big summit we had where there's a 500-person competition from all kids all over the state, and it was very impactful, and it's just a great opportunity to meet other youth such as myself and to really make a difference.
And to add on to what Philip said, so we are here for Summit of America's Youth, and there's over 500 young people from across the country, people traveling from Guam, California, and it's really special just to be able to have a platform for young people to be able to talk about things that we are passionate about. So like Philip mentioned before, we do have a competition called TLC, which is Think, Learn, and Create Change. And each young people who came to DC for Summit for America's Youth, we came in with the project. So young people were talking about the importance of climate change and gun violence in their community, and also just social economic issues that they deal with in their communities. And actually, a couple of hours before we came here on this panel, we went to the Capitol to meet with our representatives and their staff to advocate for youth and make sure that people who feel like they don't have a voice are heard, and to make sure that people are represented and, of course, feel welcome in every environment that they're in.
And also, the summit is almost entirely youth-led. There are obviously advisors and chaperones who come on this trip, but it really just shows how much youth leadership, and a lot of this is very professional, and we've had many people come in to this competition and say, wow, like I never thought that young people could do so much, and it really shows when you give young people a platform and certain opportunities, they can really shine.
That's amazing, and thank you for taking time to go and share that advocacy and share your stories with all the members on the Hill. We actually met before to curate our design, and so one of the things that the students wanted to make sure that we left time for were questions from the audience. So we will definitely make sure we have questions. We actually have a really fantastic set of questions also, but I left them in my dressing room. So if Ashley could go find those for me, that would be awesome. But I think I remember enough of them to get us started. So why don't we start off first by talking a little bit about your backgrounds, whatever you want to tell the group about yourself, like where you're from, what are your interests, what do you like to do, whatever you feel comfortable telling us. But tell us a little bit about more who Philip is. Okay,
so for one, I am a youth advocate for the environment as well as socio-economic injustices. I'm from the North Alabama Boys and Girls Clubs. We got to represent James A. Lane out here tonight, right? So I'm a computer science major. I'm a graduated senior at the Alabama School of Cyber Technology and Engineering. I will be attending A&M University in the fall, and I would just like to say I'm glad to be here tonight to see all you guys' faces, and thank you for supporting us.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Abby, and I'm actually from the DMV. I'm from Alexandria, Virginia, and I attended West Potomac High School, and now I am a rising sophomore at Virginia Commonwealth University.
You will?
Yes. But I've been a club kid. Well, I'm a club alumni, but I've been a part of the Boys and Girls Club since I was 5. And what makes my Boys and Girls Club so special to me is that it's located in a low-income neighborhood in Alexandria, Virginia. And my club is an actual, converted 3-bedroom apartment. And one thing that my club taught me is to appreciate the smaller things in life and to always advocate for things that are important for me. I am a first-generation immigrant. I am a youth advocate. And that's something that's very important to me, and that's a part of my identity. And I would have never received the opportunities and even be here speaking to you all without Boys and Girls Clubs of America and Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Washington for believing in me in moments where I didn't even believe in myself. So I just want to take the time to say thank you. Thank you for coming here and listening to us, because it's really hard, but I appreciate you guys for just listening, and that's about me.
Beautiful.
And then,
Yes.
Yeah, where's the good credit, girl? You deserve it.
Hi, I am Lauren Olson. I am the proud representative from one of the states way up north, Montana. It's in the Northwest region. I come from the Boys and Girls Club of Flathead Reservation in Lake County. Absolutely beautiful there. If y'all want to visit, you can. We need more tourists. I am also a junior staff, so I work with our kids on the regular, and I'm so glad that we have a youth voice now. I am also the president of our group's Keystone, our club's Keystone group, which is like a youth-led, it's almost all of the groups that went to that TLC, Think, Learn, and Create Change. That's what most of them are, a Keystone group, which is a completely youth-led, and it teaches us about how many corporate organizations work. I'm the president of that. And yeah. I can't think of anything else to say. I'll go on for 8 hours.
So our conference over the last 2 days has focused on connecting at the intersections. And part of the theme we've been focusing on is that each of us comes to a place, a perspective, the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, the membership, from a unique place. Can you tell us a little bit about your communities and how you think your communities have shaped you?
Okay, so to start, I believe that my community has given me everything from teaching me how to tie my shoes at Boys and Girls Club, giving me the opportunity to, express myself in ways that I couldn't even imagine. It's giving me the chance to really, be myself and grow into myself. And Boys and Girls Club has really been the community that has allowed myself and other kids like myself to really become young adults and become people of society who can make change, who can make tomorrow better. And so I really just believe that Boys and Girls Club is the place that all youth should go, regardless of background, what you look like, or what you believe in. It's for everyone. And Boys and Girls Club is just a community. It's a second family. It's a second home. It's so much to everyone who is involved, which is why I believe that everyone should either find some way to get involved themselves or send their kids off if you have an opportunity to, right?
And Phil, that's really great to think about the club experience. Is there anything in particular about your community in Alabama that you can point to that has shaped you into who you are as a young man right now?
So for me personally, I will start with, obviously the Youth of the Year program, just teaching you how to, be a leader, teaches you how to, talk to other people, how to interact with people.
Yes.
Another thing would be, just the different STEM and advocacy programs you can be a part of. So for me personally, I was given the opportunity to be a part of the A&M STEM program. So that was hosted by Boys and Girls Club and partnered with A&M, where they brought in many different kids to, learn about parachuting Army men and creating different programs and coding, all kind of different things. So Boys and Girls Club has James A. Lane and Alabama Boys and Girls Clubs, as well as all Boys and Girls Clubs all over, give kids plenty of different opportunities to experience whatever they're interested in, whether that be, music tech, music theory, all that good jazz,
Wonderful.
all the way to STEM.
Wonderful. Lauren or Abby, anything that you want to add about how your community has helped to shape who you are as an individual right now?
Whoa, I love my community. Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Washington, and my club specifically, the Mirrorgate Village Boys and Girls Club, has honestly just changed my life in so many ways. As a Black young woman and obviously a first-generation immigrant, it's really hard out here. And living in Fairfax County, which is literally one of the richest counties in the country, I felt like an outcast for a long time. And going to my club and having wonderful mentors and wonderful kids that just believed in me and poured in their time, energy, and sometimes money to make sure that I have opportunities to strive and be able to be on platforms speaking to you all like this. And my community is a beacon of hope for me, because a lot of people and a lot of kids don't get the opportunities that I got to receive with Boys and Girls Club. And it just keeps motivating me to be the best version of myself for younger kids looking at me. And with Boys and Girls Clubs of America and Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Washington, like Philip mentioned, the Youth of the Year program has changed my life in so many ways. So with Youth of the Year is a program amongst Boys and Girls Clubs of America. And across the country, we have over 5,000 clubs. And essentially, Youth of the Year is a competition to be the face of the organization and represent over 3 million young people. And I made it to a national level, and I actually represented the Southeast region of the United States and represented thousands of young people. Yes. So that is such an honor and such a blessing. And I would have never been there if it wasn't for Mirrorgate, if it wasn't for Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Washington. And that's what my community means to me.
Thanks.
Okay, and then coming from a reservation, I also agree with Abby, the low income side of it definitely made it so that I was more sensitive and more aware of what was going on. And then I guess I live in a very rural area, so there's a lot of stuff that I know that maybe some others don't about, like forestry and definitely the agricultural side of things, as we have a lot of farmers, and like how small that community is and how hard it can be. And also living on a reservation definitely has made me more open-minded to other cultures and like their traditions, even within the different tribes, as our reservation has 3 tribes, the Salish, Kootenai, and Pend Oreille, but their actual name is the Kalispé. Has definitely, like, I can see all, even if they're minor differences, it has really made me more open-minded and has, like, changed. And once again, the Boys and Girls Club, amazing place. Take your kids there. They'll meet so many friends. It'll just be such an amazing experience for them, as I know it has been for me, because I've been going for about 9 years, and I'm still going there almost, like, every single day. And it's just a wonderful place.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. Yes, thanks. So our participants, and we also have a virtual audience that's joining us too, but our participants are mostly educators or people who are passionate about improving education in our nation. Can you talk to us a little bit about what you think, what you would want to tell your teachers that they should know and be able to do? Right? So we're always asking students, the standards, are what should students know and be able to do? What should teachers know and be able to do? What do you want from your teachers?
I guess I can start. So definitely that, and I know this is becoming a big thing and a lot more people are aware of it, but if you're a school admin or on a school board or something, definitely focus away from standardized testing, because I know at least in my community, standardized testing has been like really hard for a lot of kids because they might be like not good in one subject or not remember everything, and it just makes it harder for them, and instead focus on mastering skills. So like instead of being like, guys, this week we're learning about how to do the square root of I don't know, a cube, actually like teach them and like show them, here are all of these equations and here are all the different ways that you can use them, and like this is how this works, and maybe actually going in depth on how to use a calculator, because I don't know what all those buttons do. What do they do? What are they there for?
I love that.
What? Why?
I love that.
But definitely like that. And also, hello.
Yep, you're still on.
Okay. I just couldn't hear myself. But definitely also focusing on more modern things. So like financial literacy and stuff like that, and using like money and learning how to do stuff like that. And also social media is becoming such a big part of life at this point, like the whole world. And I really feel like one of the things that we're not being taught is how to present ourselves on social media. So like social media marketing and like how that works, and how because we're all going to have social media eventually. I know at least one person here does have social media and posts regularly, which is so cool for her, but like not a lot of but like a lot of people don't know how it works or like how to present themselves, and it just ends up maybe causing like problems because they post something and then it comes back to bite them, and a lot of kids just aren't taught that because it's such a new thing.
Yes. Okay, I'm going to prime our audience because we're going to get ready for questions. So I just want to make sure that the youth have some questions from our audience. I'm just going to get you guys ready. There's 2 mics on the side. But Abby and Philip, what about you?
Okay, so I'll go next. I believe that something that I wish I had the opportunity to tell my teachers is that we need to understand that kids all learn at different levels. They all learn at different paces. You don't know what their background is. We cannot expect them to know something from their previous school because we don't know what their previous school taught them. We have to meet them where they are and continue to grow them from wherever they are to wherever they need to be, regardless of background, color, or beliefs. That is an issue with society. And then another thing is with literacy of AI, for example. I understand it's really hard to, put AI into it. It's so new and so scary, but it's nothing more than a tool. It's just like a calculator. The same way we didn't want our kids back in the past using calculators to, do their math problems, it's nothing more than a tool. So the problem is we need to first understand how these tools work ourselves, and then teach these kids how to properly use these tools. That way they can understand what they're doing with it, and that way they have the opportunity to use these tools to grow themselves and our understanding as a group, as a society as a whole. So that's what I wish I had
know, right?
to tell the kids, you know.
For me personally, what I wish that I saw my teachers or administrators do at my school is teach us essential life skills. Most of the life skills that I've learned, honestly, is through the Boys and Girls Club. And what I realized is that at schools, they don't teach kids the importance of networking and having connections. They don't teach kids resume assistance or even like different resources outside of going to college. One thing that I've noticed in my neighborhood and even within my community is that a lot of kids feel like they have to go off to college and that's the only way of being successful. And I totally disagree. I feel like a lot of schools should really implement trade and really implement military and just other post-secondary choices. And on top of that, I still don't even know how to file my own taxes. So it's just essential life skills that will help us and prepare us for the real world, because I know a lot of kids tend to feel lost after graduating from high school. And I think that a lot of administrators should start implementing career fairs and networking, because what everybody says, especially within the Boys and Girls Club, is it really matters about who you know. And just growing connections can really help make you get a job, or it can help you build you as a person. So I would say just teaching us essential life skills and really making sure that all kids have different paths and have different accessibilities to those paths besides going to college.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Okay, we're going to switch. I have more questions, but we're going to switch and take our first audience question.
Good evening. Thank you all for being here. The last 5 years have been really brutal all over the world in many, many ways. And unfortunately for all of us, it does not seem like that is slowing down or changing. So what are things that you have learned personally, or that your communities have learned, or that you've heard in just the broader world that you do not want us to forget as we continue to move forward?
Do you want me to rephrase? So it's been hard out here. For all of us.
Yeah.
What can you help us stay focused on and inspire us for the future? What do you want us to?
Well, at the very least, we're all still here today, right?
Right.
That's a start. Let's start with that. From there, we can just say, well, hard things are going to happen. It's hard to say that as a youth because I haven't lived that long, but we all know that hard things are going to happen. It's not about how far we fall. It's about how fast we get up, right? So that's the start. And there's still more time. There's always more time to, keep growing yourself, growing others around you, and keep creating opportunities for the youth or for yourselves individually. It's a domino effect. Once you propel yourself forward and educate yourself, then you take the education that you have and make sure that your neighbors understand it, and then they do it, and so on and so forth. That way everybody has the opportunity to take that education and make something great. Take their own secret sauce, take the education that you have, and do different things. Everyone has their own individual skill sets. We can't all be good at math. We can't all be good at science. We can be good at art. We can be good at music. It doesn't all have to be the same. We don't all have to have the same understanding of everything, because we have different skills and different goals that we all need to complete. Not everybody can be a farmer. Not everybody can be an engineer, but everybody can be something.
That's right.
We need to find that something, and we need to make sure that everyone has the ability to choose and find what works for them. Because when they do, everyone else will find what works for them as well.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, this might be too early in your life, but have you identified what you want to be when you grow up, when you get older?
Right now, I'm looking at computer science, but mainly just because of the freedom of that job.
Yeah.
It's very cushy. I get to stay home. But I don't know.
I
it's
see
still time.
something outside for you, like,
Really?
yes, something where you are inspiring, motivating, influencing, leading. So yes, okay.
For me personally, what I learned within the past 5 years is to honestly be okay with being uncomfortable. Even with the pandemic, I honestly didn't have faith. And one thing that I learned is to have faith in God, and just continue to believe in myself and continue to work hard for things that I'm very passionate about. What I learned is that tomorrow is not guaranteed. So every day I try to live life to the fullest. Every day I try to be the best version of myself. And for people who are struggling with doing so and like are facing challenges and trials and tribulations, just continue to have faith. And I know it's extremely hard to have faith in something that you can't see or something that you don't know what's happening next, but just continue to work hard, continue to push yourself, and continue to challenge yourself to be the best version of yourself, like I said earlier. And on top of that, just grow as a person. Like, we're human beings, and we're gonna continue to grow. We're gonna continue to make mistakes and go through challenges, but that's what makes us special. So that's something that I keep in the back of my head and also pray about and also ask about with my mentors and with my peers. And that's what honestly keeps me going.
Yes, beautiful, Abby. Thank you.
So for that question, I would definitely say, kind of going off of what Philip here said, definitely all of us have choices. There are so many choices and decisions to make in this world, and just making those choices known for your kids is going to help them tremendously. Like Abby said, kind of like showing, oh yeah, you don't have to go to college when you get done with school. You can go and become a diesel mechanic, or you can, I don't know, do professional sports. But there are just so many choices and so many options that just aren't made known to us because we're all so focused on just get your high school diploma and then get your college degree and then get married and then have kids and then do all this stuff by the time you turn 30. And we all know that that's not going to happen because that's so much stuff. And so just knowing that you have choices and that you have options and that maybe one choice that you make sucks and it's going to suck for a while, but then you can make another decision.
I love that, Lauren. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you, Lauren. Yes. And you don't have to get married by the time you're 30. Okay. Okay. Our next question.
Hi. In your experience across the country with Boys and Girls Clubs, or maybe from your own community, one sort of structural issue is sort of the relationship between the formal classroom and the out-of-school time space. So do any of you have examples of like what's a really good bridge between the two so that it's reinforcing what's going on in the classroom? And then the second question, tidbit, is what's your favorite family engagement activity? So bridges between the formal classroom and then family engagement, either one or both.
Well, it just...
Go ahead.
Okay. Well, it just sounds like you just described Boys and Girls Club with extra steps. But genuinely, like, not necessarily just Boys and Girls Club, but there are also other programs, such as Boys and Girls Club, that are both, you know, bridging the gap between school and then home, you know. One of the easiest things that we can do is just listen to the needs of our youth and work with whoever's providing that youth with the opportunity to go to school. So whether that be, you know, mom, dad, grandma, sister, brother, whoever's sending that kid to school, try to work with them to try to understand what's going on outside of school in that individual's home life. That way you can see what that kid's going through and you can try to see what that kid may be interested in. I know that sounds like a lot, but you guys did pick the hardest job and the most important job of America. So, I mean...
Buckle up, Buttercup.
Yeah, right.
And,
Okay.
Can I add on
Yeah,
to that?
absolutely.
And to add on to what Philip was saying, just to provide some examples. So like I mentioned earlier, I am a first-generation immigrant from Ghana. And the Boys and Girls Club is literally the perfect gap between family and just being in the classroom. And for me, I was I was always embarrassed of my culture, just because like being a first generation immigrant, being an African, a lot of people used to make fun of me, used to make fun of my food, used to make fun of my language. And I just was extremely insecure. But one thing that my club did for me that I am extremely grateful for is that my club taught me to read early. So then when I went to my house, I could teach my mom how to read and write. And another thing that my club did is that with my West African culture, I'm from Ghana, we're born on a day, and the day of the week is actually our middle name. So I was born on Friday, so my middle name is Afia. And I remember like so many of my club members were immigrants too, so they made us call us by our middle names in Tree, that's my language. And it was really hard, but just the Boys and Girls Club, especially with my mentors, they taught us how to appreciate our culture and how to appreciate our identity, but still educate us and make sure that we still take on family values that we have and apply it to classrooms or apply it to any environment that we walk into, so we just don't lose ourselves as people. And that's why I love Boys and Girls Clubs, and it's literally the perfect gap between home and classroom.
Yeah. Lauren, anything you want to add to that, or any favorite family community engagement event?
I feel like they said it all. Like,
Yeah, I think
they summed it up real good.
Good job. Yeah. Okay, I think we have a question from the virtual audience.
Yes, so we have people from Peru, Texas, Kentucky, Vermont, Massachusetts, Istanbul, Florida, Slovakia, Connecticut, and North Carolina watching tonight. And Molly asks a question. She says, how do you think schools could implement life and career skills right now? I teach financial literacy and economics for social studies, but would love your ideas on how I could implement some of the other things you mentioned. And I will say that a lot of teachers are currently at the point where they're starting to think about the 2024-2025 school year. So they are looking for lesson plan ideas from the three of you.
Yes, I would like to speak on this topic. I feel like thank you, Molly, if that's, Molly. I feel like also connecting with like local businesses and companies, especially with financial literacy. I know at my club, they brought Truist in, like a banker from Truist, to teach us the difference between credit and debit, and just learning how to save, learning how to invest. And I know with my club, they taught us the importance of real estate. And I know from my other career fairs that the Boys and Girls Club provided for us was honestly like touring like different, what's like where lawyers work at, what is it called?
The law firm?
A law firm. And I would say, like, for educators, really reach out to local organizations or companies that are related to the subject that you're teaching, just because it's really nice to hear from a different perspective on issues that you are teaching, because as a teacher, you're constantly, I wouldn't necessarily say nagging, but like informing your students. And it will be different when they hear from a professional, not saying that teachers aren't professionals, but someone who is prominent in that area to teach us about those things and also gain us networking positions or even shadowing at their businesses too. So really connecting with different organizations and companies would help a lot.
Okay, let's take one more question. Oh, do we have two more questions, and then we'll wrap up.
Your parent is the most important teacher in your lifetime. What advice do you give to a parent teacher that's specific to them versus the school teacher to really help you in this process? What is their role, and how can they be better?
So, yeah, can I also frame this, because I think this is a question that we grapple with also in our family. Of sometimes it's hard for in the family for you to listen to your parents or to the adults there. So we feel sometimes like disconnected, but we do recognize that there are other adults in your life, like teachers or mentors, who can be influential. So what would you say to the parents who are also trying to be helpful in that teaching mode about how they can connect best with you and support you? Yes.
So I'll start. I will say that one of the best things you can do off to start is be active in your kid's life. You can't, okay. You can't, all right, sorry about that. You can't be active and be a better teacher parent if you aren't active in your kid's life. The first step is be active. learn about whatever your kid's learning, you're learning now. So if your kid's learning how to count, you're learning how to count with them again. Just be present with them if you have the ability to do so. And if you do not, another good way to, meet with your kid is to find someone who is closer in age to them than they are to you. So if you know someone who is, roughly like maybe a few years older than them, try to get some way to get them connected with them. So that's a good way to do it. Just be active, genuinely.
And to add on to what Philip was saying, I would say just being open-minded and asking your kids questions and just being able to, trying your best to relate to them. I know with my parents, and sometimes it's a struggle, but I know that I haven't lived life long enough to really speak about life, but I know that even though I am young, I still go through life problems. And one thing that I wish that my parents did more was just having conversations with me and not speaking at me so much, or at least trying to be open-minded and understand. Just because we grew up in different places and we're from different generations. Like Gen Z is different from the baby boomers, and just really just bridging that gap between young people and adults, and really just finding a common interest or a common goal, which is just communication and just gaining open-mindedness and understanding. And I think that's very important.
Yeah, and to add on to what Abby said, if you listen and respect your kids when they're talking and you just give respect to them on a daily basis, they will listen and respect you. It's when you talk at them and when you lecture them constantly for long hours. Dad, bro, I don't need to know the history of all bread. Okay, you don't need to tell me that. If you listen to their question or whatever they're talking about and respect them instead of talking at them, they will come to you way more often with so much more stuff because they respect you. Your kids are like little adults. Soon, they're not going to be able to ask you questions on the regular, so you should start treating them like adults now.
Okay, we're going to take our last question.
Okay. Future is in good hands.
Yes.
So I'm a NASA engineer. My name is Jared Kays, and I'm just really proud of all of you guys. I think 50s, 60s, 70s, older generations were thinking about how to take curiosity and use it to kind of solve a lot of problems. And thank God it kind of fast forward to us to internet, a lot of cool technologies. So I'm curious, your experience with the youth and also being young, what are you curious about, given what other people who were curious actually ended up developing for you guys?
Yeah, that's a great question.
Well, I do know that each one of you has a cause that you're focused on. So maybe you can tell us just a little bit about the cause that you're focused on.
Okay. So I'll start with one of the causes that I'm really, curious about and interested in is, it's actually one of our projects that I did with my group. We did mental health. So our overarching project was mental health. So we had there was 4 different sections. One section was art therapy. One section was a podcast about mental health and how it ties in, how kids feel currently and how we can work with them. One section was just bringing more community to our youth. So rather than having kids talk to each other online, actually bringing them together in person, actually having them work together on whatever is they want to learn about. And then I had my section, which was physical health is mental wealth. So how physical health ties in with your mental well-being, and how, physical activity creates neurochemicals that make you feel better, that make you feel happy, that make you, just overall feel better in general. So one of my passions is, youth mental health, and I'll leave it the rest of them. I don't want to take up all the time, so yeah.
So one of my passions is expanding DEI initiatives in Boys and Girls Clubs, not even just Boys and Girls Clubs, but in every environment. So in high school, I attended West Potomac High School in Alexandria, Virginia. And if you've been in Alexandria, Virginia, we have parts where, it's gentrified and there's obviously redlining. And in different parts of Alexandria, we have the low-income residents on one end of the street, and then right across the street is like multi-million-dollar houses, people who make six figures. And I noticed that there was a gap between like the student bodies at my high school. So I remember I created a group called West Potomac Change that combat racism and the lack of inclusivity at my high school. And with that, I had a small group around 20 people with student leaders from the track team, with student leaders from different religious organizations. And through West Potomac Change, we actually created a mental health day. And we had over 600 faculty and staff members participate in the Wellness Day, and honestly grow an understanding of a sense of community and belonging. And with my platform with Boys and Girls Clubs, I have the opportunity to travel to different states and cities such as Dallas, Atlanta, New York City, and Charlotte, North Carolina, to really connect with young people and make sure that their voices are heard. And with West Potomac Change and with me pushing my DEI initiatives, I actually got proclamated in Fairfax County at the age of 19. So it was honestly a small idea, but like I kept having faith in myself and believing in myself, and surrounded by my peers and mentors that really supported me and also believed in my cause too. And I'm just doing great things. So that's my passion.
Lauren?
Yeah, so living on a reservation, there is a lot of cultural stuff around the land, and we have very heavy forests and very big forest fires. Our fire danger levels actually changed to high last week, and the fire season will go until like the end of September. So our project that we did was fuel management and fire mitigation, which is basically we are creating a documentary to educate others about how if you're looking in a forest and you see underbrush and all that like natural stuff, and oh well, it creates habitats. Well, it also makes it so that fires, they burn hotter and longer, and so it will actually burn down the entire forest. And what used to happen is there used to be the native people used to burn that land, which is where they take a section of land and they'd start it on fire, and then they would take all the fuels away from certain areas so that the fire couldn't jump, and it would run through fast and hot. And the trees were thinner. We had like thinner areas, and we didn't have as many horrible fires. And now we do almost every single year. So filming that documentary just to educate people about, and also eventually we are going to go to homeowners who have like forests on their property and inform them, because we know that sometimes like, oh, well, I watched this documentary and like that seems super cool, but I don't think I'm going to change anything in my life. We want to go directly to them to help change their life, because if they don't, their house could burn down.
Mm-hmm. That's real. So is there anything that you wanted to say that you didn't have an opportunity to say before we close?
I guess I'll start. I hope that all of you continue doing what you're doing. You guys are the pillars of America, not us youth, because we're not there yet, but that's you guys. But, and just if you have any way to get involved with Boys and Girls Club, find out how you can get involved and get involved. I have our people in the crowd. Anyone with a nice Boys and Girls Club shirt, try to talk to them. I promise you, you're gonna have a good conversation. All right, so if you can, just come out, see what we got going on, and we'll surely find some way to involve you guys.
I just really wanted to take the time to say thank you again. I really want you guys to understand that really you guys mean so much to young people and just people in general. Like, one small act of kindness can really make an impact on a young person's life, and just being there and believing in them in moments where they don't even believe in themselves. So I know that right now with the education and with the election coming up and with so many things happening in our country, just please continue to be the great people that you are, and just continue to spread kindness in the classrooms, spread kindness in your households, and also keep continuing to believe in yourself and believe in the people around you, because it can really change people's lives. And just thank you again for taking your time to be with us and listening to our point of view.
Yeah, thank you so much for all coming tonight. You guys are some of the most amazing people ever. Kids spend 180 days with you majority of the time, and you just make such a big difference in kids' lives. And there's really no way to describe how important you guys are. Like, if there were no teachers in the world, it would be so much different and harder. And just you guys are doing amazing things.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Thank you. I think someone said it earlier, but I am not concerned about our future at all when we look at the future that we have ahead of us and the young people that represent us. So thank you for being here with us this evening and having this conversation. We are now going to move to the upstairs courtyard and have our reception and a fabulous networking opportunity. So please make sure to stop by the reception. Thank you for being here.